kind of compare and contrast, or maybe tell us if you think something, is there something sort of fundamental that we think brains are doing that the LLMs are not, or vice versa?
Yeah, I mean that there's all sorts of things to talk about there. Um, I can give you more of my perspective on it rather than reflecting a more general perspective. I think the
Mhm.
more general perspective in neuroscience, right, is that um, for better or for worse, right, that there's something more special about how brain computations work that we haven't really captured the magic of reasoning into the artificial machines yet, right? And then the critical part of that becomes the yet, because some people think you can scale the current systems to a point where they do become looking like more like reasoning, even if currently they don't do that. Um, Now, my perspective on it is that humans and the kind of reasoning we have has been arrived at through evolution to some particular idiosyncratic version of reasoning that we have, where our brains are it I don't think our brains are like doing it in a simple, like correct way. I think they're doing it in this very convoluted way, um, where it just kind of happened through evolution to get us to this point. I think it'll be very difficult to replicate that in a
Mhm.
machine
Mhm.
because it's reverse engineering our brains, which is what we do in neuroscience, but very convoluted, very like strongly connected network. It's very hard to reverse engineer. But that doesn't necessarily mean that whatever version of reasoning an artificial system gets to isn't reasoning. It
Mhm.
just might be a different version of reasoning. It might
Right.
not be what we do. But as far as like outcomes go, we can still argue whether the outcomes are, the responses that LLMs give us are good or bad. Really, most of what we argue about, right, is the response is good or bad. I mean, I think that's kind of uh, my perspective on it. Just it's another computational system. It doesn't have to be the same as what humans do. It can be studied for kind of what it is. Um, and it will be very interesting to see just how, far these kinds of systems can get to. For us
Mhm.
neuroscientists, I think we mostly think of them as like another interesting system to study.
Yeah, yeah. It's another system, just like you're studying multiple systems in biology. You've got different species, different strains. Obviously, in the realm of biology, you've got, evolution by common descent, so they're all related to each other. It's almost just like an alien branch of we might think of as a phylogeny, and so therefore it might just have more distinctive properties. It might work in different ways because it has like this independent origin.
And that kind of contrast can often lead to kind of realizations about how the systems work,
Yeah.
what's scary for certain properties and what's not.
Given how much of the brain is about the body in a sense, right? You've got to move this body through space to survive and propagate. Much of the brain is about it's about learning things about the environment insofar as they can inform patterns of muscular contraction that the neurons are generating. The
Mhm.
LLMs don't have that. They don't have bodies and muscles like that. So how does the sort of embodiment or disembodiment play into this? Do you think that's an important thing in terms of what these systems will and will not be able to do?
Um, I think my perspective on this is that the embodiment problem is certainly a difficult one, and one where humans are and animals, that's where we still are much better than anything else, right? We like so far we've been able to, even a few years ago, right? We would say that it's our cognitive abilities that like set us apart. But now we have LLMs that can mimic some of those things that we didn't even think was possible before. Our motor abilities are still, far from being reached by robots or any kind of um, artificial systems. I personally do not think that is what sets us as humans apart. I think it is those internal models and our ability to reason. We can do very sophisticated things without moving a finger.
Mm-hmm.
just by thinking. People can, write entire novels about continents they haven't been to just from their, Paris apartment or something like that. And I think, a lot of those kinds of properties are things where we have built our societies around, and we have built, it's why the internet is such a drain on our attention, is because it connects us to a lot of knowledge and a lot of new things from all over the world. I don't think it is our, muscular systems that are going to be where, LLMs are suddenly going to become conscious because they are embodied. No, I don't think so.